My dad sent me dozens of texts calling me a burden and telling me, "You're dead to me," after I blocked him for good. When I asked him why he was doing this, he whispered, "Because you owe me everything." I didn't reply. That was 9 months ago. Yesterday, he was escorted out of court in handcuffs. Growing up, my parents didn't have many rules, but to my dad, there was one that stood out from the rest: family loyalty. He said it was the only thing that mattered to him, so I spent my entire childhood trying to prove it mattered to me too. I hated football, but still played and even memorized his favorite football team. And whenever the topic of anything remotely related to family came up in school, I would volunteer the information that my dad's amazing, and no one else can compare. And of course, I'd never complain to him about anything, even when we'd play fight a little too hard and he left me with bruises, or when I heard him shouting at my mom over nothing. Because if I did one thing wrong, he'd go cold. Give me the silent treatment, something I tried to avoid at all costs. Luckily, my mom didn't have that problem. So when I turned 15, they divorced. My dad seemed so genuinely heartbroken. He even gave me a chain with a broken heart on it and said it was a reminder to be the man of the house for him. Well, I kept my promise, especially when my mom started seeing someone else. The plan was simple: scare my new stepdad away. Whenever he cleaned the house, I would trash it right after. Whenever he drove me to school, I'd blare the most sexual songs I knew. And practically every night that he stayed over, I'd run into my mom's bedroom and put on an Oscar-winning performance for fake night terrors. "I can't believe it! I can't believe he's gone!" I'd say, while screaming, crying at the top of my lungs. But my stepdad wasn't giving up. Instead of just leaving or losing his patience, he'd sit me down to talk. Every single time. We must have had almost 100 conversations where I'd zone out while he tried to get me to open up. But I wasn't budging, because at this point my dad was texting me almost every hour about how much he missed me, and more importantly, making me promise that I was doing everything I could for him to come back. It wasn't until I forgot to text my dad back for a whole day that I finally opened up, because as punishment, he was ignoring me for a week straight. I told him everything. How my dad had sent me money in exchange to make his, my stepdad's, life hell. How he told me I was a horrible son if I didn't. I even showed him my bruises and injuries. My stepdad's face contorted for a second, and he seemed genuinely disgusted. But then his face returned back to normal, and he lunged at me for a hug. "You are so strong and so precious. I will do everything I can to protect you," he said. Up until that point, it was the most unconditional love I'd received from a male role model, and within seconds, I had tears running down my face, and I was getting snot all over his t-shirt. "Please, please, please don't tell my dad." He pinky promised me that he wouldn't tell my dad, and he wouldn't tell my mom either. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was replaying memories of my dad, ones that I had always tried to push away, ones that made him look really bad, like when he shouted at my mom that she was the W word because she wanted to wear a dress above her knees, or when I asked him why he wasn't as nice as the other dads at school, and he started throwing things at me. Suddenly, all my fear was replaced with a deep sense of anger, the type of anger that starts growing in your chest and fills your entire body. So I blocked him on everything. I deleted every photo we had together and finally threw out his BS broken heart necklace. I never wanted to see him again. Unfortunately, life isn't that easy, but the first few weeks were bliss. For once, it didn't feel like I was being monitored 24/7. I could do things like talk to friends or smile at strangers without being told I was a shitty, unloyal son. And turns out, my stepdad is actually pretty great. I didn't feel judged while talking to him, and he listened without shouting at me to man up. But little did I know, my dad wasn't letting go as easy as I thought he was. And what he did next was something more sinister than I could have ever imagined. And soon, he wouldn't just make our family crumble, but our lives too. Robert, my stepdad, noticed the change right away. He didn't make a big deal out of it, but I caught him smiling at me more. One night, he asked if I wanted